Hello and welcome to Sit With Hitlist, our completely unedited, unscripted podcast plus print series. It's been almost a year and a half since the pandemic that we brought this series to its original format with a live audience in front of us. It feels really weird right now, but with me is one of India's finest directors. He's given us, at least over the past 10 years, 15 to 16 hours of pure joy. That's what you brought to our lives. Shoojit Sircar, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mayank. Thank you so much.
So, Shoojit, it's so weird to be doing this in person, and I don't know, like we would have otherwise had this conversation over Zoom. I'm just thinking of what is it that we could do right now which we can't do over Zoom. Like maybe we should do high fives every 2 minutes, because that's something you can't do over Zoom.
Over Zoom, yeah.
Yeah, because you're wearing a jacket. I also want to do a high five to know whether you still have that tattoo on you, Ram Muhammad Azad Singh. Because I saw like a picture of the crew with everyone. Was that a permanent tattoo?
It was just an impromptu sign off that we were finishing the shoot there, right. Especially the Russian schedule, and that particular day. So Wiki had this, Ram Muhammad Singh Azad. So
as the character in any case, right?
So our tattoo artists, I think direction team said, we should all have this, and click a picture. So I said, oh, that's a very good idea. So I think.
But it's not permanent, right?
It's not there, but I think, no, it's permanent in my heart.
Right,
so I mean, it's there in me, as permanent, absolutely.
I mean, that film is also permanent in everyone's heart. I mean, what a fabulous film. And what a year you've had. Like while the world was reeling under the pandemic, you had 2 full-fledged feature films released at that time. Right, would have kept you completely busy around that time.
Yeah, I think I was lucky enough that the films got over. Shooting got over before the pandemic. We finished our last day schedule, and within a week the first lockdown was announced. And when I was shooting there in Amritsar, and I was going to Russia, Moscow, Dubai airport, I could see some people in mask, but most of the people were not there because at that time it was not so. But we knew that something is getting, cooked up in terms of something is happening which is not right. Yeah. When Amritsar schedule was there also, when we're doing the Jallianwala schedule.
You know what, I'm even before you go on to the next thing, and that's really the first thing I want to ask you, because this conversation, the viewers must know, is taking place in early November. Most people have just seen Sardar Udham, and the one thing that strikes in everyone's memory, it has to be that extended Jallianwala Bagh sequence. It's crazy, like the way we saw it, the way we experienced it, it moved us in ways that I think no scene in many, many years has. Shoojit, before we talk about anything else, take us through that sequence of death after death after death, and Vicky Kaushal, his character, Sardar Udham, moving the dead bodies, aerial shots. Where did it come from? What's the inspiration? How did you shoot it?
I think it all started from my first visit to Jallianwala Bagh. I don't know you've been there or not, but if you go there at Jallianwala Bagh, it's just besides Golden Temple, where the last shot where he takes a dip, if you see. So it's just walking distance from Golden Temple, and if you walk through, you find this alley. That one first opening shot of the Jallianwala. If you see, there's 2 very closed wall, and that camera is going through. That's the vision I had when I went through there, first time. And then I kept visiting Jallianwala, and it's such a place, and if you know a bit of the past, it'll hit you quite hard. It'll numb you out there. Of course, there are people who are having picnic and parties out there, but if you're a little bit sensitive and just
Just imagine what could have happened here.
Just to be there, go to the wall. So what moved me there, I went there on the day they were remembering that particular day, or 13th April. So what happens every year, there is some kind of a program out there where people come from all, and they also...
It's a commemoration kind of thing.
Right. So I went there. I'm talking about 1998.
Wow.
Yeah, 1998, 99. So I go there and I sit there, and the way the normal government programs is happening, and people are coming and talking, and I see few young people are on a wheelchair. They're bringing some really elderly who can't walk, and they are there. They are very whispering. They're talking to them. So one of the family I saw, they took their mother, or I think grandmother, near the wall, near one of the wall, and I'm seeing it from a distance. They took her to the wall, and somehow they took her out of the wheelchair, and she just wanted to sit by the wall. And these parents, like, young guys who were there, they were just standing, and she was just on the wall, leaning like that. And I knew that, of course, there's some connection. That visual itself was so. It's almost the same visual that you see in the film, where the pregnant lady goes and gets her husband there, looks for her husband. So I go and ask them. So they say ki, her brother was there in the bagh, and she was really, really young at that time, 6 years or 7 years, and she is now 99 or something. So that kind of a visual I saw. And then what I did was, I didn't go to history books. I went to all the survivor statements. So what you see, the entire Jallianwala in Sardar Udham, every single shot, every single moment is picked up from the survivor statements. So if you just Google, one of the most important statement is by two ladies. One is by Ratan Devi, and another lady named Attar Kaur. So you just read their statements. Everything that you saw in the bagh, step by step, it's mentioned in their statement to Hunter Commission and to the Congress report. So that was absolutely itched in me, that now I didn't know how to do that,
Right.
And then every year I kept going, and so the only reference point I had was Richard Attenborough's Gandhi.
So from 1998, you were going every year to
Jallianwala Bagh.
Wow.
Because it affected, not just to make a film. I mean, I didn't know I will be a filmmaker. I didn't know at that time. I mean, it was just, I was doing theatre, and we did plays on Bhagat Singh, and Jallianwala always. And Jallianwala Bagh is the fulcrum of our independence movement. If you see, it happened in 1919, and Jallianwala gave birth to many, many unsung revolutionaries, which we are not. I mean, we know about Bhagat Singh, and now of Sardar Udham, and there are many other. So the Richard Attenborough's Gandhi was the only reference point for me.
Yeah. But it's a very small segment in the film.
Of course, but the way
but they use that same wall as the police.
I think the execution that we remembered as an Indian, everybody remembered was Gandhi, nothing else.
Right.
Anything you remember of Jallianwala is Gandhi. Is that
Absolutely.
that. Right. I have replicated some shots of Gandhi. There are some shots which are exactly like Gandhi. So I thought this is the memory that I have of the film, and I should replicate that, because there's no other evidences or pictures or anything. All other pictures which were taken later was recreated. What you see on the internet, like they took people, and some people are pointing to the hall. Those all are recreated later, because nobody was allowed in that bagh for years to go in by the British, because of they didn't want any evidence to come out.
Right.
And
so not evoke memories.
One of course that, and also they knew that this bagh incident can flare up anytime, and that bagh incident never went out of their system also, and our system also, the freedom fighters who were there. That bagh was the cause of whatever it made 20 years or 25 years after 28 or 29 years they left, but it was that cause of that
turning point.
Yes, exactly. Right. They couldn't get out of that, but that was a bloodiest massacre I think history has ever seen in anywhere. So creating was I won't say tough, but impossible. It's, I mean, how do you authentically do that? And also a lot of people used to complain on my set, sir, ho gaya? I mean, you have saved one, you have saved two. So I said, no, I will.
You were sure about that?
I was very sure on the shooting day itself. And I have not left any single shot in my edit room. Everything is used.
Right.
So all the shots that I have taken is used. The only thing that I improvised was the cart. So when I was doing it, actually we had decided for a wooden charpoy. So they will come, and actually happened. People, in the true story, it is that the true statement. It is there. The charpoy was brought. People were taken in, and people will run with them out. Many people couldn't come to the bagh because of the curfew and the martial law outside. And most of them could not attend to their injured and death because of the fear that they will be noticed and a report will go to the police station that who all people came to the Bagh, and next day they will be summoned.
Some things don't change.
Yeah, they will be summoned. So they didn't even go and to the Bagh also. So they were lying so dead. So we don't know actually what is the real,
So the British
figure.
won't come to pick them up. The people who are locals cannot. One curfew, second.
Martial law, yeah.
Right.
And they were scared that they will be again
Spotted
and then prosecuted.
Right.
Because Rowlatt Act was in there at the time was.
But what about the execution in terms of, did you take like a
So
space for it?
we went to of course Jallianwala Bagh you cannot shoot now.
Right.
It is now a museum. We thought of where we shoot. So that was a huge. I know initially we were thinking of going to Lucknow to shoot this. Then we went to Delhi. Then we decided that. Then my production team Kumar and Ronnie, my producer said, "Ki you won't get the faces here." Richard Attenborough could bring 3 trains of people from Punjab, but you won't have that budget of bringing people from Punjab to Delhi. So we will have to shoot in Punjab.
Right.
And also these faces, they were very important. They were faces actually handpicked from villages, and there were some Gatka kids who are martial art kids. So these kids could actually jump and fall, And also for Jallianwala, I mean, it was surprising that they were ready to do anything. I just told them I'm recreating Jallianwala. They were just standing, and I will tell them just, we'll have to drop there, we'll have to run there, we'll have to fall there. And they would do it. And I would go to my team, I hope everything is okay. I mean, they're falling like, I'm giving them a mat. You want to know, they are martial art kids. The Gatka leader will come and says, no, they will actually, what do you want? You want them to fall? They will fall. So those small kids,
right,
they were absolutely terrific. They were performing actually. They were the first time they were performing facing the camera. That's why I think they were so natural, and they will hang on and sit there till late at night, and they will be there. We just wanted some walls, and then we had to do some CG effects on the background, and actual people were real. So every night we go there, we shoot, Wiki will get ready. So Wiki first day, of course, he was enthusiastic, he picked up the body.
He didn't know how many bodies to pick.
No, he doesn't know.
Right.
He doesn't know. First day he picked up 3 or 4, and also the takes after takes. The first day was a little messy because of course, because I didn't know where to put blood, and of course I had the blood color was not good. We could not get the right color on the camera. So we did experiment after experiment on the color of the blood, and the real blood that we use, they're too expensive. We have to import them.
Oh really?
Yeah, we have to we have to import the real one where you see close-ups of the blood. We have to import. Though we don't, we get here, but somewhere in the qualities that differ. So we thought with our team that we can't import that many of blood. I mean, we don't have that much of budget. We'll get lost. So let's recreate the blood. Now we started doing experiment how to create that blood color. So that took us at least 4 months.
Wow.
To get the right color every time. And of course what happened was, as soon as he mixed with the mud or it goes in the body, then it goes to dilute. So then
right, it stops looking real.
One of the cameras was with me. Obigda trusted me. Okay, you operate one camera as an operator, and I will operate with my team one of the cameras, and I will look through the camera, and I'll see, no, this blood spot is not, and I'll ask the team, my production designer Mansi, that I need blood on both of my side. Keep 2 buckets of blood.
Why?
So what I'll do is I'll look through when the camera is panning, on the rehearsal. If I don't, I will take a mug of blood and just pour in there somewhere, and sprinkle it. And
that's gory.
That's
gory.
And my assistants will come and say, Sujita, you are not like this.
What happened to you?
Even I also think, no, I am not. I don't know I'm doing right or wrong. I don't know. It's too gory. I know. I was a little scared of censors also. This much of blood, will I be allowed or not? But I thought that this is the only chance I'll get to really show what happened in Jallianwala Bagh. I won't get a second chance. And I should do what I've been living it with.
Since 1998.
Yes, I think there were days, you're right, I used to contemplate, I'm doing right or I'm not wrong. You always think, enough, 3 body ho gaya, 4 ho gaya, enough. Every night I'll go back, not sleep. You feel something, because you've seen blood and it smells, all that, sweat, people, injury. In that night, in the moonlight, it shines, you go. and some of the cry and pain was so accurate that it bothered us, and you won't believe the entire team was silent after the take. So they were working because first day chaos. And as soon as this started happening, I think it started affecting them also. Because they also went there as a tourist to Jallianwala Bagh, visit. And okay, Shoojit is doing a film and this. But when they start feeling that those things, one after the other, they were also, I think, getting numb, There's one particular scene, I was not shooting. I said, fine. You see that small young girl, calling mother, baby, she's doing. So I was not shooting. I told my casting, I think it's too late. And this young girl, I think we'll try some other day. Even if I don't pick it up, it's okay. I have enough shots. So my assistant who was there, Mithil and Vibhuti and Tushar, they came. And even Bhargav, they came, no, please shoot this sequence. And she's ready. She's ready. I said, fine. So I made the girl sit there. I tell Vicky, I didn't give too many instructions to Vicky. I said, Vicky, this is the shot. She used to come and then she's calling baby, and then you see what you can do. And I told Obigda, this is the sequence, I was not shooting, so as they pushed me, then I shot. Right. So I put the camera there and Obigda said, I said, how will I go in the close-ups because I need the other camera. He said, don't do this. Just observe this from a distance. Let's observe this. I said, good idea, Obigda. So we just kept hold. And I left Vicky. Vicky came in and he sat there. And the way this girl was shaking, baby, Vicky actually howled. And as soon as Vicky howled, and we are all holding, we don't know what to do. And this girl is also in a shock because he didn't expect that Vicky is going to howl and cry, and because he thought he'll catch him and take him in his lap and go. And I can see that everyone on the set, they have tears in their eyes. I mean, I can see that, And that scene is very long. In the edit, I've just reduced it a little. And then he picks it up and then he walks and then he's gone. So it also hit us quite badly. It was not easy. Right. 21 days we shot.
Oh, wow.
This entire night sequence.
Just the Jallianwala Bagh sequence, 21 days.
21 days, yeah.
That's a full film for a lot of people.
Yeah. It was not easy to handle thousands of people and, with them, with explaining them and then going there so that nobody steps on because there are bodies lying in. Anybody could step on anyone, So that care has to be taken and also night. And how do we make it visible? It's a moonlight. There's no light source.
It almost seemed like that was the point. That was the reason you made that film. A lot of people might even think that maybe you went a little overboard. It's indulgent. It's too stretched. But that is what you want to drill home. That is what you want to convey to the audience to feel what happened on that day, right?
See, Mayank, you're right. If I wouldn't have done it, how do I mean, it was my personal thinking that if I don't do it, how would I justify this man, silent, something internal is a scar and pain he's carrying and it's there in him. He's not vocal, Sardar Udham, but it's in him. I mean, he must have seen that. I mean, just imagine a 19-year-old, 20-year-old watching and experiencing this night. What would have happened? He must have seen death. He must have died there that night.
Right.
Rest is just, he was like a ghost, he was going. So he tells both of them, even twice he says, Bhagat Singh ki, then we will have to find a third one because mera bhi wahi hona hai jo tera hoga. He tells him also when they both of them in conversation. Right. And when the Britishers were torturing, he said, I don't feel pain. I don't sleep. I have seen death. So nothing happens, just give me, So he says that. So he must have, just imagine a 20-minute sequence has
impact on us.
Just imagine the entire
person being there.
Yeah, and it was not one night. It was a week. Bodies were lying there till a week. So they didn't allow people to come out at night and fetch them. So just imagine the city. For a week, those bodies are just lying there. So it was that.
Crazy. This is such an intense start to this conversation. I mean, we just need to, but that is really what that film was, and of course it calls for that lengthier conversation, for that lengthier scene. Yeah.
I mean, when I go even in Punjab or somewhere outside, also people don't know. They know it's a folklore. okay, something happened, and Jallianwala Bagh. But that's the fulcrum, as I said, is the center point of our freedom movement. That gave what you call a pressure and an acceleration to this freedom movement. After that incident, yeah, they can be that barbaric also,
I know you mentioned Gandhi as a reference point. Were there other cinematic influences in terms of war films that you saw, or films that you've seen sort of solve that problem in a certain way?
Of course, I mean, this is Spielberg is our, we have all grown up watching him. Yeah. So even Saving Private Ryan, that was a for the London sequence, Darkest Hour, Crown, Peaky Blinders, all that were our reference point, because we didn't, and of course the archives, the path images, Pathe images. So those were some of the archives. But this film, actually, if you see, I mean, of course these are visual references, but this film actually is my dedication. I've spoken earlier also, is an ode to Akira Kurosawa's this one film that he's done, The Hunter. I think very few people have watched that film.
One of the rare non-Japanese films, right?
Yeah, it's a very rare. It's a Japanese-Russian collaboration.
Correct.
Happening in Siberia.
Yeah.
So about this one man and their trust. So there is no direct link as such, but
But it's playing on your mind. It's interesting you say that, and you mentioned Kurosawa also because, and I want to get to how you can manage to do so much living, well, not even living in Bombay, but operating within Bombay. Even something as the sequence we discussed, the length of the sequence, there'll be somebody who'll say, boss, you're overdoing it. Audience entertain hone aati hai, itna mat karo. And of course, you released it eventually on an OTT platform. You were also the first Bollywood film to release on OTT platform while pandemic was on, which is Gulabo Sitabo. I think one of the reasons you managed to do it is because you created your own ecosystem in the city. I know we call you mainstream filmmaker, we call you Bollywood filmmaker, but you have your own, you are actually independent filmmaker. Your guys you work with, Ronnie Lahiri, he is a producer, but he's always attached to you. There's Sheel Kumar, a lovely Bihari man, who's spent time in Russia. He was a character himself who's always stuck with you. This is your ecosystem that you've created over years. So would you consider yourself in that sense an independent filmmaker? Why I'm asking you that one is because you mentioned Japan. Why is your company called Rising Sun Films?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons, of course.
Is that
Japan. So? Yeah, Ronnie, I think, gave that name.
How did you guys meet?
So we met in Delhi.
Okay.
So we know each other since last 20 years. We were doing commercials and advertising work, and then since then, Delhi, he just came in, and then since then we know each other.
Right.
And all my production team, my costume, Obigda cinematographer. So the entire team is
exactly the same since you started.
Yes, more or less. It's more or less. Independent filmmaker. I mean, I don't know how to describe that. How to.
By independence, usually indie means the low budget. I mean independence.
Yeah. If you do a film with your own terms, Of course, we compromise sometimes, and I have been compromising, and now film after film, I have reduced that.
Right.
It's where I started. If I go back and if I have to remake that film, I'll definitely remake it a little differently.
Right.
But you also evolve. You also mature in life time after time. I'm not this, like I when I was promoting this film, I was telling a lot of people that please don't. I am not the Wiki Donor Shoojit Sircar anymore. I am moved on. It's 10 years. Don't expect me to do that.
Right.
So don't go to the theater and do that. Even in October also I did the same thing.
Right.
I was warning people,
Right.
Sometimes what happens, a wrong audience is a harm to your film.
Yeah.
A right audience is
which is why
which is less also.
Certain trailers are shit not because they're shit trailers, but they promise something and some other movie comes out when you actually watch it.
Yes, I'm very scared of the wrong audience.
Right.
Because how do we cut the trailer? How much to give, to the audience?
Right. What expectations
hope
you generate?
Yeah. I'll tell you, Gulabo Sitabo, I faced so much of. I mean, I'm openly telling you this, that when people thought I'm doing Amitabh Bachchan and this, so they think it's a Wiki Donor and Piku coming together.
Yeah.
Because I faced so much of flack after that कि फिल्म में तो कुछ था ही नहीं, मतलब वैसा तो of course मैंने बनाया ही नहीं वैसे वो मेरे mind में ही नहीं था वो तो
You couldn't communicate that before.
because you know कि don't expect that.
Right.
But how do I do that? You know, it's so difficult. So sometimes wrong audience can really harm your film, you know.
Right.
Not harm your film, but you know,
wrong expectations.
Expectation, and then a lot of people didn't see it. I mean, okay, this film is nothing, you know. They see it later, you know. Independent filmmaker, if you say, I mean, yeah, I mean, I would say yes. I mean, see, crafting your own path was important, and that's a learning lesson I've learned here in the city itself, in the film industry.
Right.
That otherwise nobody will let you be what you are, because then otherwise everything will be forced onto you what works. And in cinema there is nothing like what works and that is going to sure that this is going to work. And I don't understand that this works. What works in an art? Nobody knows, you know. It's an expression, you know. It's just you do what you're compelled from inside. You feel like, and you do that.
I mean, you know what works, because if we look at, say, a film like Wiki Donor, and that made you like this guy that everyone wants to work with so far as studios are concerned. It's a 4.5 crore film that did around 77 crore business, that started an entire trend of taboo films. You know, with all of them starring Ayushmann Khurrana thereafter, you know, pick up a taboo subject. I mean, that's what works. And I'm sure, and you said this before, that thereafter, you've been offered a lot of money to make Wiki Donor 2.
Yeah.
How much money have they offered you? I'm curious to know.
No,
like, give me a ballpark figure.
A lot of money.
What is a lot?
No, a lot.
Okay,
I mean, it can be a
crore.
film budget. Yeah, it can be a film budget also.
It can be an entire movie's budget, right? And you would say no.
Of course.
Because you don't have an idea for 2.
No, I don't. I mean, you know, I have put whatever I had in me in Wiki Donor already. So,
right.
Yeah, and I cannot remake a film also. I mean, you know, I don't know how. I mean,
that's a lot of integrity, Shoojit.
I don't know.
You said everyone calls you Shoojit Da. Is that how everyone refers to you? Shoojit Da?
A lot of people call me Shoojit Da.
Shoojit Da, because Bengal and therefore Da. I know that you said somewhere that you hate being called bro. Like, no one should call you bro.
Yeah.
But in Bengali it's okay if this is Da. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. Bro, I mean, no, the bro has got a different context to me. I mean, you know, most of the, I mean, even if I met a guy and just, you know, he says, okay, bro, so I
feel like you're being friendly?
No, I just feel he wants something. so, you know, so that's why I'm quite repulsive to that little, I don't know.
So wait, you didn't tell me why why is it Rising Sun Films? Japan, like, just because, what is the Japan connection to your film company?
No, I mean, we didn't think that much. So Ronnie said, why not Rising Sun Films, you know. I just told him, check this, is there any other Rising Sun Films?
That's it.
So I'm okay with anything that, I thought it's nice, Rising Sun Films, quite
There's
positive.
no Kurosawa connection there?
No.
No, so I'm going to come back to you as a person, to you growing up, Shoojit Da. I'm going to call you Da, no bro. Is the bit about, I mean, we see that integrity towards art, towards cinema, while remaining within mainstream. But while growing up, you actually had no connection, or at least art, cinema, literature was not part of your life. Would that be correct to say? Yeah. And that you were essentially a footballer? Like, mostly these interests start at an early age, right? How do you explain that?
Sometimes in a house, when we discuss, my daughter and my wife, Juma, we discuss, I sometimes think tell her, I mean, sometimes maybe it's a fluke, or maybe I'm lucky, you know, that I sailed through, you know. It's so difficult otherwise when I listen to stories, you know.
Right.
Sometimes I really thank, you know, I don't know whom to, but you know, that it just happened. I got opportunities possibly, and everything possibly, maybe right buttons were pushed possibly, I don't know. So no, you are absolutely right that, you know, I had nothing to do with cinema or art or singing or music, anything. It's just observing, that's it. A footballer, like as I said, I mean, I'm still a sports person, but that was it. And that one film and one play changed my life. And that one play was Andha Yudh by Dharamveer Bharti. That play he wrote in the 60s, I think, or the 55. And I think everyone around the world has performed that play. It's a play which starts on it's about the Gandhari and the Dhritarashtra and Krishna's story. You know, on the last day when Gandhari is cursing Krishna. So this play I saw in Delhi. I was working in Hotel Meridian as an accounts assistant, doing debit and credit, normal.
After doing BCom honors
from Bhagat Singh College, and you know, Mandi House is walking distance. So I walked there, and one of my friend.
Were you happy with the job? Was it like, okay, fine, I got a job, great. Meridian is not a bad place to work.
I belong to a middle class family, and for us getting a job in whatever form, it's a huge thing, you know, and also getting a hall in a 5-star hotel, first job after college. So anyway, from Meridian, the walking distance, it was, if you know, NSD.
Correct.
It's just walking distance. So this play was, and Nasir Bhai was doing it with Amrish Puri, Roni Atangade.
Wow.
Satyadev Dube's production. And somehow I was a fanboy of Nasiruddin Shah at that time. Because I've seen
few films like everyone else has.
And you know, so I thought, okay, let's go. With no intention, no gonna I walk in and watch that play. It's a 3 o'clock show.
Oh, you're bunking show?
Yeah, bunking. 3 o'clock show. There are 2 shows, 3 o'clock show and 6 o'clock. And I watched that show. I don't know, something happens to me. I watched the next show also.
Oh wow.
No tickets and all, so somehow we put out the security and somehow we sit there on the stairs and watch it.
When you say we, you mean you had friends with you?
The person who took me, my friend who wrote this film, Shubhendu Bhattacharya. So I know him since then. So he was the one who was in street theatre and Jannat. He pushed me, actually come with me. So I went with him. And then I met, of course, Gajraj and everybody. And I watched that play, and I come back, and I'm walking back to my office around 9 o'clock like a zombie, you know. You know, something happens to you. You don't know what something has happened to me. A few days later, weeks later, I don't remember. In Shri Fort, there's a film festival going on, starting, and there's a film Pother Pachali. And I remember Pother Pachali I've seen with my dad and the school. I've either walked out or I've slept, and I never understood that film. You know, it was like a bouncer.
Too boring for you.
Yeah, it was too. So school also took us for the play, and nobody was in this there. And I watched that film, Pother Pachali by Satyajit Ray. That's it.
Wow.
These are the 2
So no debit credit, sab chodo, ye kya hai, accounts?
This changed. I mean, completely. I mean, and when I really understood and recognized this Ray's film, it's still so vibrant, that film, to me, and for everyone else, I think film lovers, it changed. My life changed since that, and then there was no. Then I started reading and watching with a different eye. I mean, earlier I will go and watch
considered boring or interesting
Hindi film. I will do all fight sequence, action films, everything I'll watch. But now the perspective has changed. You know, something has happened in me, which is I can't explain.
You can't explain.
I can explain something, and the looking at things how to see things, and that's when I joined theatre.
I have this little theory about how something happened in the early 90s in Delhi University. And there were people who came from various parts of India. They were all in the same time, right? And then they all moved to Bombay a little later, and they became what was New Bollywood. They almost redefined this city's cinema industry. And you know, you've come up in these conversations that I've had in the past with people like Manoj Bajpayee. They mentioned Shoojit used to work there. You worked with Manoj, Gajraj Rao you mentioned, other people, and they all came at the same time. Would you agree with this theory, by the way, that something happened there?
Yes, I think it happened possibly, but you know, I don't totally agree with that, because people like Nasiruddin Shah, Om Puri, at that time there was a Raj Babbar was also there.
There's a full parallel cinema movement, right?
Yes, before us, even I think Irfan moved also, little before us.
But again, Delhi, na?
Yeah, but you know, people like Sai Paranjpai, Tapan Sinha, Mrinal Sen, Shyam Benegal, Ketan Mehta. We used to call them these parallel films, art cinema.
Correct.
Now, who used to watch these art films? Only when you come on TV? Most of the people are watching pure mainstream films, whatever, even if it's a... Chitra, watching it. Now, who is watching these films? In Delhi, as you said, you're absolutely right. There's a watched only in Delhi or possibly in Kerala or in Calcutta. That's it. They were the actual place. Now, who were watching these films? Whether it's Par or Garam Hawa. I remember that time even Meera Nair's Salam Bombay also came. You know, Bandit Queen at that time, which was not released. You know, we watched the special.
All these people worked in Bandit Queen.
Yeah, most of them. And from the theatre.
They all got their jobs in Delhi.
Right. You just imagine how these people like us, we were also a normal audience. We watched these films, whether it's from Hindu, either it's Imtiaz or Swanand or Manoj or Ashish Vidyarthi, Seema Viswas, Nirmal Pandey, Irfan, Tishu. Anybody, you know, you take Anurag Kashyap, Anubhav Sinha, anybody, we watched these films. You know, these films were only happening in one place, in somewhere in Apugar, there was one theatre, and we'll all walk down and watch these films. Yes, that movement happened. I think what happened was here, some raw voices came possibly. Raw journalist voices came possibly, because in Delhi, most of the people had some journalism in them. I felt, you know, they were associated with those social issues, what was going around, you know, and that possibly affected them, because they were all from theatre mostly. And that must have brought them here, and they must have, you know, expressed those beliefs and thoughts into it. I came in a different way altogether. I came I was doing theatre, then I did some advertising work. You were sold out from beginning, huh? you know, screw theatre and its politics. I will make money from ads. So and I make money from ads. Whatever I earned, I put it in the theatre. So that's what my job was. So I was like a mole from my group in the advertising industry. You make money and bring us, and we will make, you know, do plays. So that's what my job was.
So you were making ads in Delhi, making money from there, and putting in a theatre that people could perform. So say a Manoj would perform, or a Gajraj would perform, or are there other people?
No, Act 1 was the group.
Act 1
so,
was
yeah.
the group.
By the time, by the time, I thought, so we were. Because of course it was an amateur theatre, it needed money to, you know, run. So you
were the patron of the arts, like right at the beginning, at a young age.
Yeah, me, and there was some other Atul. Even Gajraj used to work in, say, plays. You know, he will do some plays. He will get, say, 500 rupees as a stipend, you know, whatever, and then from there half the money he will give it to the group. So it was like that. So everybody contributed. So, you know, whether it's Piyush, Anik, everybody. So they all came and contributed. Piyush Mishra, yeah. So that's how you know, you come and do it. You know, what happened was, you know, once you enter Mumbai and, you know, and you start in the film industry, the first thing is it's on your head, it's hammered, is a box office.
True.
And when that is hammered on your head, whatever your all understanding, ethos, essence, all are. They all, you know,
changes you from inside.
Exactly. It dissolves completely. It gets away, and it's difficult to bring that back. Your integrity again. Your integrity, yes, again. No, it's not retained. You have to bring it back forcefully. Otherwise, it can really, every step it can go up. You know, you can lose it. And it's not that I have not lost it. I have lost it. But slowly, these understandings of every step getting hammered by the pressures. Whether it's a market pressure or the industry pressure or the insecurity of, or the actors or the writers or distributors, exhibitors. So everything is a pressure.
By the end of it, it's not even your film anymore.
Yes, it's sometimes, yeah. Like when Piku came in, most of the people thought it was a Bengali film. And I was told it's a Bengali film. It's a Bengali. I said no, it's an Hindi film. So I said fine, it's a Bengali film, but there is a connect. Like first time when I did Wiki Donor also, I didn't think it will work like that, frankly speaking.
Nobody could have, right? A movie on sperm donation.
Yes, I thought it was really a taboo subject, and it'll go maybe to few think little out of the box youngsters, and they may go and this, and I didn't expect the families will go in. Also, I didn't deliberately try to play it to the gallery also, and put in things which are double meaning or something.
It might well be your toughest film actually in terms of the way people received it. It's not easy to make a film of that nature on sperm donation and not go cheap or not go B grade or not seem like it, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's the learning. That was the learning point also for me. That, you know, because you made something with certain, and you think that's right and that worked. Like first thing was I was scared of censor. Of course. Censor on sperm donor, you take out all the word sperm, you get this. I thought. So I told Ronnie, I think it's going to be the A certificate. But fortunately, they got it. they got it and they said no, we will. It's an UA. I think it's an important subject for infertility and everything. That they saw it from an education point of view and they thought it was important at that time. So I was completely taken aback, and I was just thankful to the entire.
So does it help for you to have had a very successful advertising career, to not have to fall into the traps of a lot of people have to do a lot of things because they have rent to pay. And you can't even blame them. Of course, you see their films, but you know where that film is coming from. Poor guy hasn't had any work for 3 years, and of course he's going to say yes to the first offer that comes his way. But did that help you, the fact that you had something to fall back on, a very, very successful ad filmmaking career?
I would rather say that my advertising career has helped me in producing my own films.
Right.
So when I saw my first film, Yahan was like a bouncing board from this production house to that production house to this studio to that studio. I was just like a ping pong ball. That film was played, and of course it didn't release properly, so it's okay. So that's when I think I realized that I will have to do my films in my own terms, so I will all produce it myself. So that also I did it.
Because that you could do in advertising and it seemed to work.
I could run my kitchen.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about the daily, everyday struggle. So advertising gave me...
You basically had no struggles in that sense.
Yes, no.
Yours is not that Bombay story that everyone has कि 500 रुपए लेके Bombay आया और किधर रहेगा.
No. My
lunch time में पहुंच जाता था खाने के लिए किसी दोस्त के घर.
No. As I said, I was quite fortunate.
Yeah.
And I had everything in my disposal. Struggle was to be on my own terms.
And make your feature
film.
Make
a feature film on my own terms. So.
But also, Shoojit, if you look at, there is a certain finesse, certain craft in all your films, regardless of the subject. Do you think some of that actually comes from your training in advertising? Because it looks a certain way. I'll give you an example, and I don't know how many viewers watching this realize that your first film, Yahan, was shot by, and if I'm pronouncing the name right, Jacob Ahire. Jacob Ahire, who is the same person who shot Chernobyl, that fantastic HBO series. Now this gives you like an access to another world when you're working at advertising, because you have those budgets to get international talent and you look at it a certain way. Is that how it works?
No, Jacob Ahire's Yahan was his first debut film.
Wow, first feature.
His first feature film.
But you'd worked with him before?
He had done a documentary before that. And he had done one documentary, and I saw the documentary. He came to Delhi to shoot that documentary.
Okay, which is this film?
It's a documentary about the cultural ethos of somewhere in Rajasthan, and some cultural spots that he was shooting for BBC 4.
Okay. And
one of my friend, Walson, was the sound person on that documentary.
Okay.
So he informed me there's one cinematographer who's
shooting a documentary.
And he's from Polish Film School, and I know about the Polish Film School.
Right. That Warsaw school that is supposed to be really good.
Yes. So he came, and his work was really something unusual. I mean, he looked at it differently.
Right.
I have seen films, all the Kashmir films.
Yeah.
By that time, and I thought it all looked same. And I have visited Kashmir in the toughest time since 91, 92, 93, 94. So at that time.
Right, the peak of militancy.
Right. So, I've shot there. I've done a documentary. So I've shot there. So I knew how a Habakadal bridge will look like. I knew how Charare Sharif will be, because Charare Sharif was burnt, and there was a lot of thing happened. And I thought I need somebody's a different perspective, a different eye to look at it.
Right.
Then I got Jacob, and I told him the first thing he told me, it should look like Bosnia. So and instantly it hit me. And at that time, if you remember, and Bosnia Herzegovina, this problem was going on.
Yeah.
So he told me it looks like Bosnia, in winters it is silver. Like Bosnia is also like in winters it's like that, brown and silver. Then he was on board, and he shot that film.
Wow.
Of course, how
and
difficult.
You could tell, like, at the moment the movie starts, and it's got its own color palette.
Oh yes,
it's the one thing you remember from Yahan.
I think everybody remembers is that it looked like a very
like
refreshing,
moonlight, bluish, beautiful.
Yeah, it was
stunning.
It was, and since then he's been friend.
Right.
And me and Jacob exchange. And
did you congratulate him on Chernobyl?
yes, of course. I mean, he kept on when he was shooting. I'm shooting here, and I'm doing this. So he was.
Did you make documentary films?
A lot.
Is that an area?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah. So
was not aware of that.
So after, as I said, my changeover as look.
After Pather Panchali hit you and Andhadhun hit you from the other side. Yeah.
So it was all documentaries.
Oh, really?
It was purely documentaries. It was 4 or 5 years of serious documentary, and with serious documentary filmmakers. So I think what you were mentioning, or what you think that possibly that's there in my film, which I don't realize. I think it's come from documentaries to try to catch that realism, which I'm not yet achieved fully, but that's what has helped me. In terms of...
the other thing that I noticed about your works, and this is not from documentary, or maybe you're going from one thing to the other and literally almost alternating. So Yahan is a film on Kashmir politics. From Yahan you go to Wiki Donor, which is a comedy, effectively. So it's almost, and then from Wiki Donor, which is a comedy, you get into a political thriller, which is Madras Cafe. From Madras Cafe you get on to Piku, which is technically speaking a comedy. Is this a coincidence, or is it by design that you go intense, and then of course the work is the same, you'll put in just as much work in a comedy as you would in a political thriller, but you want to relax now. Abhi Gulabo Sitabo kiya, to ab thoda relax kiya, now I'll go Sardar Udham. You're following a pattern, right?
No, it's coincidence.
It's a coincidence?
It's pure coincidence. It's
like
just,
after Sardar Udham, you're not thinking, okay, I need to make something light so that I can feel lighter?
I'm not wearing a mask when I'm making Sardar Udham, and the film is over and I take off the mask and throw away.
It's not like that.
I am Sardar Udham. I mean, I strongly feel about it. I strongly feel about Gulabo Sitabo, the greed. I strongly feel about October, because I have been in ICU for 3 months with my mother, and I know exactly what happens in an ICU with a coma patient, with a comatose patient.
Right.
So what happens exactly? So the dynamics of comatose. I am, so I can't take it away and I just throw it away.
Sure.
It's not connect and disconnect after the film. No, no, it is not.
Right, it stays within you.
You will have to.
Was that the most personal film you made, Shoojit, October?
It is. It is absolutely.
Because
personal.
It concerned your mom and the time you spent with her when she was in coma?
Yes, it is. It is. If you see each and every moment inside that ICU or even the outside, because when a comatose patient is there inside the ICU, you have nothing to do. You can just wait. You just wait. You wait for that one thing that the evening the doctor will tell you today's report. And you know that you're expecting that today she must have, her eyes must have shifted something, she must have opened her mouth or something. But no, you will not listen that way. Deep inside you're not going to listen, but you're hoping that doctor will tell you.
Right.
For days and weeks and months, you're just there and you're
waiting.
also
comatose in a certain way.
Yes, and you're waiting.
Right.
And then you become a family member of that hospital. Everybody knows you.
Right.
You know the chemist, you know the canteen wala, you know the nurse, you know the doctor, you know everybody, and they also know you. Fir aa gaya wo. So
Right. You were Dan in that sense. In the hospital?
In the hospital, you will have to be. I mean, forget about comatose. If 7 days somebody of your family is there, you're just sitting outside in the waiting room. What are you doing?
True.
Even if somebody experiences that.
The other reason why I'm saying this could be a most personal film is also because, as you mentioned early in the conversation, you worked in Hotel Meridian as an accountant.
Yes.
And I have not seen any film that shows the back of a hotel the way you have.
Yes.
And it can only come from eyes that know it.
Exactly,
right?
You're right, absolutely right.
That's something that you decided at the time that ye dikhana hai.
No,
the two worlds.
When I came when Juhi bounced off this idea of that, this is going to be the film and this is the way we're going to structure it and this is the character, I knew that, I immediately clicked, okay, fine, hotel, I know hotels, so I will go into it.
Right.
So it just hit me straight away. So then I had no problem in understanding the hotel. Like I wanted a particular kind of a housekeeping room.
Right. You didn't recreate it, it was a real hotel.
It was real hotel.
Yeah.
So my art team and my production said, we'll create this. I said, no, you cannot create this.
You can't create this. It has to be a real
This has to be real. Whatever problem I face, I will shoot there. You get. So luckily we got the same place in the housekeeping, whether it's a kitchen or whatever. So yeah, that of course.
But tell me more about the casting of this film. I mean, Before we started this conversation, Shoojit told us that he watches 5 films in a year. So I'm pretty sure that you hadn't seen any film of Varun Dhawan for sure in those 5 films. The reason I'm saying that is because, I mean, you know, Dhyan kidhar hai, hero idhar hai. If there are 5 films you have to watch, one of them will not be this one, right?
No.
So clearly, that's not the person you thought of when you were writing the film. Or how did this work? Like, how did this casting work? Because it was the most, for lack of a better word, the anti-casting I can think of. For a part like that, or like a proper David Dhawan ka hero for this part.
Those apprehensions are always there. I won't say that, you know, I have taken a decision and it's okay, you know, it's an apprehension. Even in Sardar Udham, when it was Irfan and then I had to move to and Wiki and Wiki Kaushal, those apprehensions are there in the beginning. I mean, I won't say that it's not there.
No, but with Vicky, you would have seen a Masan and...
So for Varun, you know, what happened was we were hunting and looking for auditioning the lead part, the character, of course. So many auditions we did and we found also few, you know, they were very quite good. And Varun been calling me for quite some time. And my house is near, I want to meet you. And you know, I live in Kolkata, so I used to come here, work for 2 days and go out, so I was not getting time.
Right.
So one day, I was just about to leave and I saw his text, Dada, whenever you're next. I said, I'm here and I have a flight and I have to leave the office. Are you here somewhere? He says, yeah, I'm at home. I said, can you come? So, give me some time, I'll take a shower and come. So I said, no, don't worry, just come, drop in, nobody will see you, just walk in. So the way he was, he just had woken up and the way he was, he just dropped in. I have that picture with me. So, you know, and he was clumsy. He was holding a bottle, he just fell. No, sorry, Dada, sorry.
Do you have the picture? I want to see the picture.
I'll show you the picture. He said, मैं चाय पी लूँगा. मैंने यहाँ कहाँ मिलता है? मैंने कॉफ़ी पिएगा, चाय पिएगा, क्या जो भी पिएगा. आप क्या पी रहे हो? चाय पिला. मैं चाय पी लूँगा. Then cup also, he just, you know, somehow clumsy, it went off. Then बात करते, I think he was zoned out completely.
He's just woken up.
He's just woken up, zoned out, and I feel that I don't know what he's talking to me, and I don't know what I'm talking to him, because, you know, he's not from any of this my zone at all, you know. मेरा कोई
only
radar में है नहीं है ना.
Nothing else.
Yeah. मेरे radar में है ही नहीं वरुण धवन, you know. And also he is also, I don't know what he's going to talk to me कि क्या film बनाओगे आप कि मेरे को मतलब हम काम करेंगे. And then he sits down, you know, and he's and I look at his jeans, of course, your photo jeans, and he saw that I'm looking at jeans. So he's just looked at it, कि दादा मेरे jeans की तरफ देख रहे. He looked at me कि I am a different person altogether.
Right.
And you know, he sat there and ठीक है दादा, okay दादा, and he went.
He just came to say hi.
Just कि, you know, just
in case you have something.
Like, and you know, I was in the flight, you know. Then I just kept thinking about him, that, you know, and I landed and I called Ronnie and then Juhi. I think I said, do you guys want to see him once? You know, because, you know, I just found him that he doesn't know where is he. So I think that's what Dan is, you know.
Right.
You know, who had no clue.
Yeah.
What is he doing? Why is he doing? You know, he's just doing it.
Right.
And I think we all met, you know, somewhere. So
yeah, it's almost like it was his first film in a way that
so
we
that's
saw.
So I told him, I'll give you only first half of the script, and I will not give you the second half of the script. No, Dada, I have to prepare. And no, you don't have to prepare. You don't prepare. So what do I do? So I said, what do you do in the morning? So I said, I wake up and I said, what do you do first thing? I said, I take my phone and I start. I said, don't take the phone. I mean, just can you do an exercise? I'll give you an exercise. He was, yes, Dada, tell me. I gave him a music piece. I said, as soon as you wake up in the morning, you listen to this music piece. And when I said, do you have a plant in your house? They will say, yes. So what do I do? I said, sit there in front of the plant.
What?
And watch that plant and listen to this music. Phone to touch mat karna. तो ज़्यादा मुश्किल है. मैंने नहीं तू एक्सरसाइज यही है और कोई एक्सरसाइज नहीं. बोलता नो कैरेक्टर मैंने कुछ नहीं तू ये कर. And that's what he did with this one.
Wow.
When we took him to
what was this piece of music?
It was just a meditation. I do a lot of meditation,
Right.
so I just gave him a meditation piece, of course. So slowly that music, possibly he was kept listening and listening.
Had to be staring at a plant.
Maybe it calmed him down by a few, a few ounce.
Yeah.
And
you asked him to get off social media too, right?
Yes, I asked him.
Yeah, because I remember him telling me that.
Yeah. So that calming effect, that's what I needed in Dan. You know, and I shot the climax first, because so that he doesn't know what I'm shooting. So first I told him, yeah, that's that last.
So he doesn't know at all what he's going to shoot because he's not seen the second part of the script.
बोल ज़्यादा line होगा तो याद कैसे करूँ? मैंने बोला कोई बात नहीं, तू अपने बोलना. So the first day I shoot is that last day conversation. So I thought I'll catch him raw, the way I caught him in the office. So first day he did it. So दादा क्या मैं, and he was saying I'm not doing anything. So
मैं नाचा नहीं रहा है, क्या कर रहा है?
No, मतलब he said I should do something. So first take it was a rehearsal take, and I had told my cameras, you will roll this. You sometimes you have to mold the character to get it to what it is. So I roll the take. Sir, दादा take करेंगे? बोला हाँ करेंगे अभी.
रिहर्स करते हैं.
हाँ एक और रिहर्स करते हैं तो. I kept on picking up those, and then he did the take, one take, ऐसे हो गया. He came to me, and then he didn't get any much response from me. Then he went to Tushar, then he went to the others. यार कैसे हो गया? दादा को बोले यार ये मैं तो किया ही नहीं, मैंने कुछ किया ही नहीं अभी, तो मैंने सोचा था करूँगा कि ये. He said okay, he's moved on, and it was a very important scene. That last conversation you see,
yeah,
it's just it's a rehearsal scene.
Wow.
That I picked up.
Wow.
So that's how, and I think slowly from that day he was shocked. Initially he was thinking पता नहीं set हो गया फिर आ गया. Then I think it got a shock of his life that this is not an easy set going to be.
Right.
So he was asked me what should I do. I said hang around. No lines, prepare. So you hang around. You hang around with us. So he'll hang around with camera, with people, team. This. I said now let's do this. So ये कब आएगा? I said ये यहाँ से इसके बाद वहाँ आएगा. So he has only written the
He's
first.
just as clueless as Dan in real life at that time.
Exactly.
Right.
And then slowly he got the grab of it. Slowly.
Right.
So that's why you see those particular hospital scenes, or even the hospital first scene with Varun. I told him, you're not going to see Banita. No, Dada, what will I do when I go there? I said, I don't know. No, but I have to go to the ICU, right? तो मतलब मैं वहाँ कुछ करूँगा ना. मैंने मुझे क्या मालूम तू क्या करेगा? तो he got shocked. So he said, went to Tushar. He said, script क्या है? So he said, then Banita is so and so, and he's gone, and he looks, and he comes back. कुछ लिखा नहीं है ज़्यादा कि, you know, explain. And because Banita's makeup, I wanted to get him a shock. So that was done by PR.
Right.
So she did a shock, and we backdoor से उसको लेके रखा, and my cameras were placed. If you see that shot, if you go back and see that scene, he is actually clueless, and he got scared seeing the makeup.
You got the real reaction.
He didn't. He thought Banita. He first thing is not Banita. Shivli is not. He thought something else possibly. So if you go back and now see, my cameras are capturing somewhere. Out of focus is also their camera, and I kept it. My camera is moving little, not like a cinematic perfect. No.
Right.
Because he was clueless. He didn't know what to do, and then at one point, there is Dada मैं जाऊँ. He's asking on shot.
Right.
मैडम नहीं तो और थोड़ी देर देख और तो he did that, he did that, he didn't know what to do. पता नहीं आगे टच भी करेगा नहीं करूँ क्योंकि उसको इंस्ट्रक्शन टच करेगा तो मैं कहीं बोल दूँ टच मत कर.
Right.
Then nurse came and anyway he went off.
Right.
So it's as candid as you see it.
Is that how you worked on Wiki Donor too? Because characters are similar in the sense that they're also kind of, that person is also kind of clueless, figuring out life.
I think purity was there in Ayushmann in that.
Right. And it was his first film. How do you cast someone for sperm donor anyway? Like what attributes
like the similar scene was there when when I was doing Wiki Donor. So there was one scene in the clinic that he has to go to that room.
Right.
Yeah. And he told me that I want
to donate sperm.
Yes, to donate.
Yeah.
But Dada, are you going to do that scene? So मैंने बोला हाँ. So तो बोलते कैसे होगा वो scene? So मैंने बोला मुझे क्या मालूम? तू रूम में जाएगा? So it was as bizarre.
Right.
So we all laughing and सब scared कि इसको भी वो कर रहा क्या है? So I put a camera on the top in the corner एकदम ऐसे एक. So
like a CCTV. Right.
मैंने देख मैं ऐसे capture करूँगा. Nobody is there. So you enter and shut the door. So only camera is watching and हम लोग बाहर.
Right.
And Ayushmann went inside. And actually he didn't know what to do. So he sat there, there.
Which would be the case in reality too, yeah.
So no, I didn't instruct. Whatever he did it himself.
Right.
He went to the wall, he looked at the camera, he did. I said, I will keep it open. Once you're done, you come out. So that's when he comes out and he says, "ऐसे थोड़े होता है." And that's when Chadda gives him books and all and so on and
so
on.
when he says "ऐसा थोड़ी होता है," is he talking to the crew or is it actually a scene that he's improvised?
No, when he got out, he knew, what is this, Dada? And we are all laughing there outside some sing sound hai, lekin tabhi we are all somehow controlling our laugh.
Right. But you unleashed a full genre called Ayushmann Khurrana from that film, right? Like, I want to know how you met him. How did you choose to cast him? That was his first film. He was a VJ before that. Who did you see before that? Like, did you meet others who you wanted for the lead role for Wiki Donor? It's a tough one also to play or to pull off.
Ayushmann was introduced to us, to me, by Jogi. Jogi is my casting director since my... Right. And I know him from Delhi again, my Delhi team. So he introduced me. Then he told me, we were of course looking for many, and there are many who don't wanted to do this film. There are many. So then I didn't know how to do that.
The A-listers would have said no, no?
Of course, they have already
immediately
said no.
Yeah.
No, they laughed, they liked and everything, but this is karenge nahi, matlab, So then I said, me and Ronnie decided, let's do this film, let's do it ourselves, and let's fresh face se karte hain. So then Jogi introduced me to him, and he came first day. So of course he was, in the first when I told him the story is all about this, he was taken aback.
Right.
Then I have to script pad le. Agar if you think that you're uncomfortable, you tell me. But I think somewhere he
I don't know whether he makes this up, but he actually says that he was a sperm donor once. Did you know that?
No, he told me
that he's been a sperm donor once.
While shooting, he told me that some of his roadies or something he did where they had some exercise. He told me that. Okay. So later I came to know. I said, "Chalo, theek hai, fir to then you."
Of course, you won a national award for that film, Shoojit. Actually, you won the national award with John Abraham, who came on board, the producer of Wiki Donor, and thereafter you make, Madras Cafe. No knock on John Abraham. I just think I wouldn't imagine him in a Shoojit Sircar film. Yeah. Based on what he's done before, based on the kind of performances he delivered regardless of the film. I mean, he works, he's a massive star, but he's not a Shoojit Sircar actor. How did that work?
Yeah, you can say that one film where, I just quickly wanted to make it and
You went ahead with whoever you found first?
Yes, I think. Because by 2010, I think that the entire Tamil... that group was completely wiped off.
Right.
Case was completely shut, the Prabhakaran and the Sri Lankan army and everything. So I thought I'll just go ahead and make this because it was there for quite some time. So I think that's one film where I didn't wait too long, and I think I just said, okay, let's go ahead and make it.
You've also said in the past that that's one film where you've possibly made the most compromises that you're not very happy about.
Yes.
Although it's a fantastic film, I think clearly. Not that there are too many to compare it with to begin with. It's the toughest genre. Nobody pulls off a political thriller, but it's the most researched political thriller that we've seen in the mainstream space.
Yes, I think in terms of research, script, everything was quite good. I think in my craft and making of the film, I mean, I would make it completely differently now, and with an absolutely fresh mind, But I think that one film I would have really want to go back and remake because I was not satisfied. I lost it on that one. It could have been really, really much more powerful film.
Like, for instance, you wouldn't have called him PM, you would have just called him Rajiv Gandhi.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate that in our country that we still can't do films where everything is still in a published and a public domain,
Right.
and take real names like political thriller. So that's why in Sardar Udham I was absolutely uncompromising to some extent and took all the names because I could take the names.
Yeah.
And I think we should be like your European films or American films where you name your president or or anything that what's there in the public domain, and it's a story which has come out and there are facts which we know. I think we should make those political thriller. I think that's when the cinema will really liberate.
Right.
I feel.
Right.
Cinema to if we can take that real names which has been done. It's a bit of a problem because
what else would you change about Madras Cafe?
No, one is of course I will take the real name. I'll go with a completely new cast and and there are many places where I've been little compromising in terms of dialogues and little the heroism part. Of course my heroism from then and now has changed.
Right.
So for me, heroism is not about heroism. For me, heroism is doing the right thing. That's what is doing, rather than not doing it. The concept of heroism has changed in terms of then and now. So
tell me something, Shoojit. I mean, you take.
I knew then also.
Okay.
But you know.
But you knew that this is the only way to finish the film now.
Yes, I am compromising at that because there were a lot of threats and this and those because of it was a sensitive country, an assassination of. Then never been done on an assassination of a prime minister. So there were few things, elements, which were bothering me, and I thought, let it go.
How long were you with this film, with Madras Cafe? In terms, I know you said 20 years was how long.
Madras Cafe was almost 10 years.
Wow.
Since my college days, I would read. You know, at that time it was newspapers. Yeah. There used to be spread about something happening in Sri Lanka. Or so if you remember that time it was every day.
It was a peak again.
Yeah.
When you sit with an idea for that long, what I find interesting about you is that, I mean, clearly you direct the writing all through. And in fact, I've seen certain interviews of yours where you've actually linked an event in the film to an event in your own life. I love the bit I saw about the iconic scene in Wiki Donor, the drinking scene. The two old ladies drinking, and that's actually your mother, and you used to like just give her some daru, you know, you'll feel better. When you're that involved, I find it strange almost that you don't take writing credit for your film, that you just give it to another person, because of course you are fully part of the writing process. You just take the director's credit. Is that something you thought of in a way that's how it should be?
It's a collaborative work, you know. So you can come up with ideas and things, but you know, I'm not a writer. So either Juhi has written, or Ritesh, or Shubhendu. I've not worked with many writers also.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you have had the same team.
Yeah, same team. So I think if I handle like in Sardar Udham, Obigda, in Gulabo also, in October also. In Madras Cafe also. So my DOP will give me one of the cameras to operate and trust me with that.
Right.
So it's not that. I mean, you do all kinds of it. So it's a collaborative. So I think a writer should get the writer's credit and nothing else. You know, I mean, I'm not. I mean, I will give ideas and all. That doesn't mean that I become a writer.
Right. I mean, but you direct every aspect of the film in any case. You are the director.
When you're collaborating, as I said about Sardar Udham, that there are many scenes which was monitored by my assistant director team, my Ronnie, my EP, my camera. They were monitoring me. They were telling me to do, you know, you do this or do that or do that, and you listen to that. So you know, it's not that you don't listen. Sometimes a shot will get stopped. Assistant to DA will come and say, the blood is, because now they have the blood is not right, so. We should take it again. I said, yeah, you're right. Go back and do that blood also. It's a collaborative thing. So I think where you all have to, unless I write it myself with a pen and paper.
Just that aspect. Otherwise, you are writing it. It's just that you're not the one typing it.
Yeah, but see, you do brainstorming, and you know, and some brainstorming. Then how the writer pitches it and how the writer puts it across as a screenplay on the screen. I think it's a writer's credit.
I mean, you've spoken about it in the past, Shoojit, that you and your writer, in this case, Juhi, because you've worked with her the most as a writing, directing team, you guys have the worst fights on the set. It just becomes ugly sometimes, you know. Can you remember any particular scene where both of you have fought because she imagined a certain way and you imagined another way?
In Piku, I think possibly one of the restaurant scene was there where Deepika is sitting with one of the possible boy that she is going to meet. That particular scene, the particular reactions where I just took it and I canned it, but on the edit table I think we had a lot of, and I think then I let her only edit that scene. I said, you edit that scene then, you know, because finally our debate, you know, we're going to fight it over. So you edit the way you have imagined. So she edited it that scene and I kept it that way. So I said, okay. I had a lot of fight with my friend Shubhendu, who was at Madras Cafe. Yahan also he was there, and Sardar. So me and him has a most number of fights. Shubhendu, because we're childhood friends, so since class 6. So our understanding of Sachin, Emma, he will fight with me. He will fight, matlab he will fight with me. Matlab he literally, you know.
Like
yeah, I mean, if case, I mean, he will hit me also like that, you know. So he'll get so frustrated, ki, why are you doing that? You know, why are you not doing this?
Right.
So, because in most all my films, he's been some part.
Okay.
Either as a designer or, you know, some art team or a production designer. Somehow he's always there, Shubhendu.
Right.
So we had most number of fights in terms of.
I mean, in one of the things that has happened.
But the writing is the main area where I actually make the film.
Right.
And for me, the making of it, shooting of it, is the most boring. It's like I have to reenact everything what I've done in the script, because in the script I do the exact thing what I do in shooting. I reimagine, I go back, writing, go and forth, discussion with the writers, come back, no, this scene is, so I have done and directed the scene.
It's already done in your head. Ab karna padega real life mein.
Now I have to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why my takes are also quite, you know, quite minimalistic. I go in that, you know, maximum 2 takes, 3 takes. Very rarely that I've gotten, too many.
Because you rehearse with them before? Is that also something that you do?
No, sometimes whatever I have told them or I start taking, I think most of the time the first one which I get is pretty much organic, and I love those organic ones. Only I've gone with number of takes is with Irfan, because Irfan is the one who matures with every take. He's like, every take is like he's maturing.
And he wants it. He wanted it as well.
Yes, he wants it. You know, you can give it to him any amount of takes, and every take will be different. So only with him I have gone with little, because he will enjoy, and every take is like a it's like a
gem each one.
Yeah, I mean, now you have a choice. You know what you want to keep. So that
have you kept those takes, Shoojit? Have you kept his takes, the ones that are not on screen? Now they're going to miss him forever.
Yeah, we have.
Have you kept some raw footage of his?
Of course, it is. He is absolutely. He was not an actor. He was something else. He was a philosopher, I think.
Right.
I think I call him a philosopher. So the way he will come on the set, he will understand the whole thing. He will do the same thing every day, every moment, whenever. Otherwise, also But you know, once you see on the camera, it's something, you know, that's that. So I call him a spiritual philosopher.
So I mean, coming back to the writing part, Shoojit, there is one thing that's happened a couple of times in with your films is a movie is coming out and somebody or the other will just say, "Arey, ye mera chori kiya hai." Right? That happened with October. I think a Marathi filmmaker made this allegation. That happened thereafter with Gulabo Sitabo. Somebody said after watching the trailer, what do you make of this particular phenomenon, as it were? Like, how have you dealt with it, and what is the reason behind it? How do you treat this whole copyright infringement issue?
It's distressing.
Right.
It's distressing, for sure. It's distressing because, you know, when it happened in October, we were shaken up. I was completely shaken up. I mean, we thought we were creating something absolutely fresh and new, and everything has come up from my deepest experience also, and even Jui's also. Right. Same with Gulabo Sitabo. I said, how come that can happen? You know? Landlord and a tenant. I mean, that could be any amount of stories. I mean, this is no way. And you see, after the film, there's nothing. After the film is gone, there's nothing.
There's publicity.
I don't know. We have an association and writers association where you can go, and most of the time the writers association, the entire panel has seen the films, the jury of there, and they have given a clean chit to us, and I think and what else you can do. So it is distressing sometimes. I mean, I was asking Ronnie, I hope Ronnie in Sardar Udham nothing comes up, you know. So be ready. So then Ronnie told me, you are used to it now, it's okay. so it will come, so it's okay, you be ready for it. So it is distressing sometimes.
I think the most distressing part in your otherwise...
You know, we could not enjoy the release of October and enjoy it. Normally what I do is I go to the theatre and watch the film. Right. But I couldn't do it because, you know, it was something like washed away, you know. I mean, we have done, in an allegation like that, and so it sometimes is very, very distressing. Right.
Would Shoebite be the most distressing part of your career, which has otherwise been so illustrious, in the sense that that's a film that you made, you had Amitabh Bachchan as the lead, that was the first film, if I'm not mistaken, that you worked with him on, at least in terms of a feature film, and it did not get released. Okay, I'm just trying to remember what the story was from when I read it, was that Percept and you and Amitabh Bachchan were supposed to work on that film. I think there was some money issue between Percept and Amitabh Bachchan. So then Percept, with the same script, wanted to get Anil Kapoor, but Amitabh Bachchan still wanted to work on that film with you, of course, and so they got UTV, and then eventually you made the film, but these guys put a stay order on the release. Is that what happened, Shoojit? Is that, and that movie is made, but nobody's seen it.
I can tell you where we are now.
Yeah.
I think. So finally it's the film is with Disney, and Disney is also Fox, and Disney is also UTV.
Right.
So now it's with them if they want now, and they can actually release the film. So they are still talking and they are still figuring it out.
Right.
So I can tell you that all the past, it's all over.
There's no end to it, no?
Yeah, there's no end to it.
But
That's
that was
all
an
over.
idea by M. Night Shyamalan?
Yes.
What does that mean? Like,
So that idea is that he wrote that idea in a script. Then that was adopted by Renzil. Renzil had just done Rang De Basanti at that time, and he adopted it. Later, when we found out that this is an idea by Manoj Night Shyamalan, we came to know later. Then I stepped back, and then he stepped back. Then I think Ronnie Screwvala was doing a film with Manoj Night Shyamalan, and that's how again the restart happened. Because he was doing a film with Happening. There was a film that he was doing with Manoj Night Shyamalan under UTV banner, I think, international.
Right.
So that's when it all restarted. So yes, the basic idea is written by Manoj Night Shyamalan. He's wanting to do it as a Hollywood film. So, but then we requested that we will do it in a regional film. It's a messy.
It is quite messy.
I mean, but it's quite sad that it's still in the cans and it should release.
It should happen at some point or the other, right? Is it Amitabh Bachchan releases a Shoojit Sircar film? I can't imagine it will remain in the cans for too long. I've kept the last film to discuss to right now, which is the last part of this conversation, and it has to be Piku, Shoojita, because I don't think there is any film more loved than Piku. That around me, especially Bengalis for sure. Whether you might say it's a national mainstream film, but that it touched a Bengali chord in a way that no film that I know of has, and probably other films must have, but not in the past decade or so. Every Bengali I know has seen it at least 4 or 5 times. Honestly, I would love to have this conversation in Bengali with you, but ami bhalo kore bujhte pari, bolte pari na. But tell me the instructions you gave in that film, Shoojita, because it genuinely felt like when I was watching the movie, and I'm really speaking from memory, it seemed like everyone was just talking through their eyes. And they are the most expressive eyes we know, Irfan and Deepika. I mean, it's incredible. Like, it's almost like you cast their eyes for the part. Is that something that you were always conscious of? Because they just talk through their eyes.
I'll just go back, I'll tell you, when we were writing the film, so my instruction, my only instruction to Juhi was that just write as long the scenes as you can. If one scene is 20 pager, write 20 pager. Don't hesitate or stop yourself, in terms of. And of course, for a writer, I think that's an open platform. I think, and that's what.
Almost like a play, then, right?
Yeah,
20 minutes would be almost.
Yes,
a play.
I think my play experience I brought it, and then I got that entire scene, huge. Of course, I chopped it and cut it, and on the edit table also, and on the script level also, there was many, because the first draft was really long. So my brief was quite simple. My brief was special because all the three players were from 3 different schools of acting.
Yeah.
Irfan, from Mr. Bachchan is a person who is really method. He'll rehearse, he'll be so particular. You can't use left on the rehearsal, and on the take you can't use the right hand.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so so he because you did.
Does that make him like a one-take artist kind of person?
He is. He is.
Okay.
On the other hand, Irfan is like, you can go on.
Yeah.
And Deepika is natural. If you so you have to tap into even also Deepika's internal as an artist, what she is. So you have to tap into few things. So my instruction was purely that in this film nothing is happening, nothing is moving. It's in the drawing room of a Bengali household. So that's what my audience is going to put. I told everybody from my direction team to my cinematographer Kamal Negi, I said I want the audience in the dining table sitting and just hating this Bengali family they should hate them. Please stop. And Mr. Bachchan would, I said, sir, no. He said, no. So I said, sir, everything is no. You will move on. I want people to hate you, so that you. And he's master in that. He knows, how he can do and go on. There were days when Deepika would come and ask me that am I shouting too much? His father in the film. I said, no, you shout. I think you go much more. Because father to kya hua hai?
Yeah, we take liberties with our parents anyway.
So one day he shouted too much. I want to see the take. I said, you see the take? Dada, I'm shouting too much. I said, no, you go one more, you shout more. Are you sure, Dada? I said, yes, I am sure. You shout. That maid wala scene.
Right.
So that maid has left the job, and then that house help is going to leaving, that she hates this man. She'll never enter this house till he is there. She takes over. And there were moments when I would say there is nothing. If you see, there are a lot of silences also. They were talking, there's silence. So I said, you do what you do at your home. So my instruction was basically to help them acclimatize with the house, with the drawing room. So if you're acclimatized, you don't have to shoot like a shooting. You are so...
You don't act, as it were, yeah.
So Deepika would ask me, so where you the camera? I said, I'm not going to put the camera. You tell, this is this, your bedroom is there, you're going to do that, that is there, homeopathy medicine is there, bed is there, the milk is there, washing machine is there.
It's an actual house.
It's there.
Yeah.
So you figure it out. So Dada, it takes me so much time to go there and to come back. I said, fine, don't worry. So you take it, I can go and come back? I said, yeah. So see, she also became natural when she got used to it. I didn't restrict her to, okay, do this and do that, So she was, I think that was the only instruction. With Irfan, the only instruction on Irfan always thought कि कहीं तो शायद love story निकल के आ जाएगा. I said, नहीं इरफान, ऐसा नहीं है. ऐसा मुझे मालूम है यार, मैं थोड़ा खुश होने दो यार, तुमने मुझे दीपिका के साथ कास्ट कर दिया है. तो कहीं तो होगा रोमांस ना. इतना मालूम नहीं अभी तक. तो अभी तक जैसे शूट जा रहा है, लीनियर वी शॉट इट, अभी तक तो मालूम नहीं है यार. कभी हम बैठ के ऐसे बात नहीं करेंगे हम लोग. मैंने नहीं सर, बात करेंगे लेकिन प्यार की बातें नहीं होंगे सर. So that's how it was. I said, right. So he used to say, how do you define? Then उनको define कैसे करेंगे? मैंने बोला मुझे नहीं मालूम कैसे define होगा. We will let people define it their own way. So that's how the ending also that was.
Right, right. You left it undefined. Yeah, completely.
There is a take that he wanted. दादा मैं just खेल के मैं just गेट को ऐसे खोलता हूँ और आप काट देना. मेरा नहीं इरफान. मेरा नहीं इरफान. So we debated for that for a long time. So everybody we debated on that particular. That's why.
But you took it though.
We took it. But I said, Irfan, आप कह. But after a long debate.
Right.
I said, so कि वहाँ तक लूँगा या फिर खेलते हुए मैं खत्म करूँगा. So but that happens. Right. That's what is very interesting debate. We debated for months after that. The last sequence, कैसे?
Oh yeah, he was adamant that there should be.
Not only he, everyone somewhere somebody had a suggestion that maybe the last shot is they're going into the house together somewhere, But in my mind, while the scripting is gone, I had told you, end तो उसका badminton में ही खत्म होगा. And the house help is going to come back.
Crib as much
and as anything happens, खत्म तो नहीं होगा वो film.
Right.
क्योंकि as I was debating with everyone, I won't say debate, discussion, I was getting much more, I was feeling much more sure about it. Sometimes happens when you start, then you become much more, not just adamant that it's a group, but that I am going to thought it, I was much sure about it. I think that's the right thing.
Right.
So that's how.
I know. I mentioned October as possibly your most personal film, but in terms of milieu, in terms of the world,
I think Piku is also
na?
Yeah, because we have seen that.
That's a Bengali home, and you live in Calcutta.
Yeah,
it's a call that you took to live in Calcutta and work in Bombay. I don't know any filmmaker who's been as prolific in Bollywood as it were, has chosen to live in another city. What's the reason behind this?
No, it's absolutely a decision taken with full conscience. especially for when you have children, you know, and then you wanted them to grow up in and I always missed Kolkata because my father was in Air Force, and we had always.
So you lived in various Air Force stations.
Air Force,
right.
So actually, understanding and you know living there as a Bengali was I always craved for. So I thought let my daughters actually be there, and you know, and so that's where the conscious. And then I thought I'll go there for a year or two and then come back possibly. But then I didn't come back, so I'm still there. So that's it.
You know, I would imagine, and of course, you know, Bombay is the hub of Bollywood, as it were. And you know, when you walk around in say Bandra or Andheri, and you'll see directors, you'll see actors walking, because that's where they live. You would be the most famous person in Calcutta right now. You are more likely to be mobbed far more in Calcutta. Does that happen far more in
No,
City of Joy, as it were?
I am quite elusive in that
Yeah?
sense. So I just go to my football ground and play and come back. Yeah, no, I mean
It's really not. It's not something that bothers you.
Yeah, I mean directors.
They'll take a selfie.
Directors are yet not that.
But I think Calcutta might be an exception.
It is. I mean, there is a lot of respect for
filmmakers.
Filmmakers. There is.
But tell me something, Shoojit, like I know you've spoken about your love for Ray, and every Bengali's love for Ray, and every Indian's love for Ray for that matter, but every Bengali's love for Robbie Thakur. You know, I was once in a national award jury where we watched about say 30 Bengali movies. Every Bengali movie had a reference to either Ray or Robbie Thakur. You know, it's almost like they're stuck there. Why is the Bengal film industry not at the same level as say Malayalam film industry is? And I mean it in an artistic sense. It seems very almost like trying to find his feet. Do you feel that about films that come from Bengal now?
No, you strongly feel that because you have not seen anything. I mean, fortunately last year because of the COVID, I'm thankful that one way Malayalam cinema, it reached every household.
Yeah.
Nobody knew Malayalam cinema, but everybody was so hungry about watching some new ideas and films. You see how regional cinema has picked up, and absolutely you are right. Ki sometimes that we haven't seen anything strongly coming up which can really go universally all across from Bengal. I think last was Ritu Porno. Rituda was the last one who possibly gave something which crossed boundaries.
Yeah, maybe Aparna Sen, but not as active anymore. Not that many films, right?
I mean those the golden period of Mrinal Sen and Tapan Sinha.
Yeah, that's like another generation.
I think that, and Rituda picked it up.
Yeah,
I think he picked up and he was a brilliant writer. Yeah, but I think after that, even we feel. I mean, I also talk to a lot of people, and we should do. There are, I think, but I think we will have to take some bold and fearless steps.
Right. It's seeming too mainstream, very wannabe.
I rather feel that the youngsters, like for example, the Assamese, the filmmaker Reema Das.
Yes.
I think I must speak about her because I think in recent times I haven't seen, as brave filmmaker. I have seen, of course, but Reema Das is exception.
Village rock stars.
Village rock stars.
Right.
I think I make a film like Village Rock Stars. To me is like a modern day Pather Pachali. I will consider it that sense. Right. So or a Bicycle Thief. Yeah. Or 400 Blows. Anything you tell me, or an Iranian film. Colors of Paradise. No less. Village Rock Stars. I mean, as raw, as brutal that film could be. So you just imagine. It's her also personal life, possibly somewhere where she must have experienced it. Yeah. So just imagine that film going around the world, and also during the COVID time, so many people just watched it. Could access this. Yeah. Yes, Bengali cinema needs to have a little bit more fearless.
They need a new Ray to emerge who's like a artist, only pure artist to start with, and then a storyteller. Is that?
I think to be fearless.
To be fearless.
Yeah, not getting in the block. I think filmmaking it's all about fearlessness.
Right.
Filmmaking because any art form is all about fearlessness. So
which you have, huh? Shoojita, like you're fearless enough, and this is my last question to you, and I've warned you before this conversation because that's something that we are going to take. You're fearless enough to walk up to an Amitabh Bachchan who has too many issues with the script of Piku, and you enact the entire part for him, and then he gets it. You literally taught Amitabh Bachchan how to act. You know, which is incredible, and everything I've heard about you is that you're actually a phenomenal actor on set. You actually enact the scene for the actor who just essentially copies you. Now you know exactly what's coming up. You will have to enact something for us from any of your films that you've already done for an actor that you're just doing for us. It's only between us.
Oh no, I don't remember any dialogues. Yeah, don't yeah. I don't know. I only remember that. Doyer's that scene where he says, "Na, fear is deterrent, and fear works." Is it you know, it was in Sardar Udham that you know that. So he would ask me because he was a British actor. He was a very good theatre actor also. His name is Sean Scott, who played this. He and me will rehearse quite a bit. So you know, he will say, "Okay, you show it to me. You know, how would you do it? You know." So then I will, a salesman, would you kill a man to save 10? He'd say, or 100, 1,000. I'd say he'll say something, nonsense. Hospitals were open, and when the firing stopped, it was natural for everyone to go to the hospital and go back home and fetch the dead and attend to the injured. So he was as remorseful as so I don't know. I'm not an actor. I just because of my theatre, you know, I know my script very well, so that's how it is.
Well, I hope to see you on the screen. You know, you have quite a reputation for telling actors exactly what they should do. We should watch you on screen as well. Any questions from the audience?
Guys, you should watch Aditya with Vikram Sengupta. He's this promising new Bengali filmmaker who's really making waves.
Yes, it is. I've not seen his last film. He sent me the earlier film. We were supposed to collaborate on this film also, but we were discussing also. What has happened is that in earlier times, I know between the filmmakers, there has to be collaboration in terms of discussions. There has to be forums, or a press club, or where they will sit and bounce. Nobody was scared that my idea will be taken by some other. One filmmaker will jump into the other filmmakers and tell him, you do this, you do this, you do that. Yeah. So I think that culture is now
ecosystem.
That ecosystem of that adda, like that coffee house, or like in Kolkata, there is one place. Of course, at that time the filmmakers were not that great paid. You know, they will survive on that cha and shingara. They will live. So I think that culture. I think Renaissance means that everybody is discussing the same page, and there is a revolution taking place in terms of. I think that's not happening. Everyone is in a mad rush. I'm not talking about Bengal. I'm talking about everywhere. Everyone is in a mad rush to just somehow finish it, somehow mount the production.
Right.
For example, I just want to give you a small example. Last year, when I saw this Nomadland from Oscar, so I saw the film and I was deeply impacted by that film. I was just thinking, why would a jury take a film like this, and where there is nothing happened, and possibly there's a time. It's the time that they are going through.
Right.
Maybe the jury must have realized that this is possibly
is reflecting the time.
Yes, because you don't need anything. Minimalism is the maybe that mystic quality that they saw in the film, which was there in Ray or in the earlier films that I say, because I think film should have that mystic quality, which you cannot express in words.
And the ecosystem that you're talking about, say at the same time of Ray was Mrinal Sen, was also Ghatak. These are all at the same time, so they were like feeding off each other at some level.
I heard there were clashes, but the clashes was for art.
Yeah,
clash was not about not about commerce. It was about art. I mean, who could go as deep as and as fearless as
and they would write it. Like Ray would call Mrinal Sen humorless.
I think that's healthy. That makes them take the plunge onto the next one where Khandar would do that, you know.
Right.
Like Tapan Sinha's Ek Doctor Ki Maut. I think it's so contemporary. We should, I mean, a film like that is so, or Raise Devi, you know. So I think even Garam Hawa is so contemporary.
Yeah.
I mean, where are we are? Today you put Garam Hawa, you will feel, you know, it's so.
Yeah,
so
it's a 60s
sensitive
film.
Yeah, it's
Right.
so sensitive.
Chita, of course, you know, when you were making Sardar Udham, were you thinking of how it fits into today's...
The discussion of equality, what Bhagat Singh says and believed, where is that? That equality is not there. Even we are not keeping that equality. He talks about the equality or the freedom, like his speech. I think that's what, it's like summary of Sardar Udham is that speech that he stands in the park and gives, you know.
That's Hyde Park, right?
That Hyde Park.
Yeah.
That it's called a free speech park or something. It's there, where he just is drunk and he just speaks out. And if you see every word what he spoke on that what you call as free speech, and what Bhagat Singh wrote, you can write books and books of thesis on that, you know, on equality or casteism or, you know, humanism, biased, and everything you can write.
Oppression.
Yeah, everything
Yeah,
is oppression, you know. आप इंसान को मार सकते हो उसके विचारों को नहीं. I mean, कितनी बड़ी बात बोल दिया उसने. You saw this year, now in 2021, Black Life Matters. And for us, 100 years back, brown life mattered, you know. If you really want that perfect society to build in, I think they were far ahead of their times. I think Bhagat Singh was far ahead of his time. कोई समझा ही नहीं उसको तब actually मुझे लगता है.
You did mention you shared music with Varun, right? Even Wiki said you shared some lyrics and music with him as well. Do you think music kind of helps to set the tone right? I mean, has that been a conscious effort?
Especially in these two films. So I just wanted these two films were quite internal for the actors. Even October, there is not. It's a very silent film if you see. And this also, if first 1.5 hours, Sardar Udham does not speak much. It's more, he's reacting, internal, looking, he doesn't know what to do, he's clueless, he's trying, his effort, but you can feel that he's a little clueless, what he exactly want to do. Secondly, I wanted to be a little bit more cerebral for him, because I didn't want to project this film as just a revenge story. I didn't want it revolutionaries that they are revengeful, no. They're just putting up a point to protest. He says that. It has to be, an issue, a point that a revolutionary is not about gun toting, you know, a criminal or a killing machine. Nahi hai wo. So revolutionary is an ideology, it's a thought to come in, I think. So sometimes I feel that maybe the last sequence where Sardar Udham actually walked out to the passport, what if the passport office, he must have got the passport. शायद ये assassination होता ही नहीं हो सकता. He must have left. अगर उसको passport नहीं मिला, he came out, he saw that. So maybe it's a last minute resort that he took of assassinating.
Right.
So that's what, if you go back and think like this, it's that he was trying to do many things. So possibly because of that, the music always helps.
What was the music?
It was one spiritual meditation.
Thank God for not putting like Rang De Basanti Chola or something in the film, because it would have taken away from the gravitas of what you were trying to say, right? Because you could have got carried away with Punjab as a setting, because that's also a fertile setting in its own way. But that's a conscious call you took.
Oh yeah, of course. Right. The first film that we have with Shantanu and me decided that we'll go with original score, and thanks to Ronnie Lahiri, that my producer, that he said okay, we go with it. He's also a history buff, so I think he helped me also that okay, let's go with it where we are. So I think that, and also casting was we had all British actors, and we decided that they want to speak the way they are. Because I that one mistake I did in Madras Cafe, when John was speaking to Nargis Fakhri, Nargis was speaking in Hindi, English, and he was speaking in Hindi.
Right.
I thought it was nice, and later I thought I did, it sounded so pathetic. I later realized, but by that time I had done it, and then I did supers, and then I'm not going to do that mistake again. So this time everybody was speaking.
But Shoojit, does that take some of the load off when you are not releasing it for box office for that weekend, where I think almost say 1/4 of the film is in English, and you don't have to worry about
Not,
it.
this is more than 1/4.
More than 1/4.
This
Nearly
is-
half. Yeah,
this is 60% in
60% is in English.
Yeah.
And you would keep it because, you know, we've been through years of Hindi cinema where chata hai, main karta hai, you know, like it's ridiculous how British people have sounded in our films.
But because of this OTT exposure, I think a lot. I was talking to many people. They were watching global stuff and they were reading subtitles. They saw film from Egypt, Turkey, from Scandinavia, German films. So they've watched all over. They're watching everything.
Right.
So that gave me a little, confidence that okay, no, let's go with it.
Not to make it a conversation about nepotism, but of course there's a lot of excitement around Babel. There is, because I think when an actor of Irfan's stature leaves so early on, you do look at his son and think, okay, you know, maybe we'll see some glimpses of him in Babel. I know that you're working with him. What can you tell us about that?
It's first thing is that I've also said many times that for Babel it's a long way to go. It's a long way to go and achieve. I had a personal relationship with Irfan, and I could not meet him in the last year when the COVID was going on, and he was quite close. And when he was performing Udham, I had suggested Irfan, let Babel play the young Udham. So that's what I think, and I'm going to train him, and we go and let him so that at least Irfan would say, नहीं यार वो तो बच्चा है मैं ही कर लूँगा मेरा नहीं इरफान वो अच्छा है वो तो ठीक है तुझे लगता है तो तुम करो. So we started then actually with Babel. Irfan's loss is still I felt it was quite, I felt guilty of it. So and it was quite, it deeply impacted me, Irfan's going away. So then I didn't know what to do. Because Irfan gone, then what to do? So I just wanted to keep in touch with Irfan and the family. Soon I'll tell what he's doing. Of course he's doing it. It's more like a learning. So I just held his hand so that Irfan feels a little bit more confident that okay, no, nothing is. Something is there. So I know he was very worried. So you can say that okay, it is just my just weakness for Irfan that I've just kept. I held Babel, but Babel is already doing things. Nepotism, I have nothing to say about. It's quite rampant and everywhere. But I think Babel has a long way to go, long way to prove what he is. You can't expect that what his father was, and suddenly you have taken Babel. That means it is Irfan. No, it is not.
It can't be. I think there'll only be.
No, it can't be. No, it is not. I just being like a guardian there. So I know you have raised a point, but I've been just a guardian for him.
Well, on that note, I think we should also dedicate this conversation to Irfan, and someday hopefully we'll have a longer conversation on just him with a lot of other filmmakers, because it's an bizarre
We should.
loss.
I think. Yeah. I think we haven't spoken about him.
Yeah.
We just remembered him, but we have not spoken
also
about
the time when he went and the whole world was in turmoil. So it was also the
what
time
was
of
he?
loss.
There are some beautiful things about him. That why he was Irfan. It's not that easy to just become an Irfan. He is a real loss for the industry, nothing else, no other loss. I feel 2020 loss was Irfan. Huge.
Irreplaceable.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's a conversation for another day that we will have. Thank you so much, Shoojit. This was fascinating, and wish you all the best. I'm pretty sure you have like some 3-4 films lined up as we speak, and of course with integrity. You'll
No, I will. But I must tell you that I am not a factory of churning out films. So no.
That's good to know, actually. We had a factory in Warsaw, Ram Gopal Verma's, that shut down at some point. It's not a good thing to be a factory either.
If you're responsible in terms of being an artist, you can't just churn out things every time. It will not be the same. So you will have to keep it alive in you as an artist. Art needs to be alive in you, and it will be alive through your everyday life, what you do. Like a lot of people have complained about Sardar Udham and Gulabo, even October is slow paced and it's slow, fast, edit kar do. So my point is that I'm also evolving
Mm.
every day. You know, I am also evolving as a person. I am aging, so I am also slowing down in my thinking, and it reflects in my films.
I'm presuming the audience is evolving as well.
I hope so. You know?
Every audience is
I
aging too.
think audience should calm down.
Thank you so much. Lisa.
Oh, pleasure. Thank
This is
you.
amazing.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you so much.